Oh, hey there. So today we'll be talking about the topic of industrialization.
First, you should know that it all started in the 1700s with large landowners dramatically improving farming methods, which amounted to an agricultural revolution, eventually paving the way for industrialization.
Allie, do you know Jethro Tull?
No, Frankie, I do not recall a Jethro Tull.
Well, when I was a young lad, I remember Old Tull was one of the first scientific farmers who saw the sowing seed process as wasteful and thus created the seed drill.
So, what exactly is industrialization, you may ask? Well, it is the process of developing machine production of goods. Natural resources were a big part of industrialization.
What were some of those?
Water power, coal, rivers, harbors, etc.
With all these natural resources, machines came along to create new inventions and produce. But unlike modern times, people couldn't just go get coffee before work.
Speaking of coffee, where is our coffee?
Athena!
Took long enough, Athena.
Thanks, Athena.
Anyway, back to business. So yeah, working in the time of the Industrial Revolution was hard to say the least. The average worker spent 14 hours a day working, nonetheless, working with very dangerous machines, like a boiler exploding or an arm getting caught in a drive belt.
So, industrialization, a process. First, population increases, more people means more demands. More demands means need for natural resources. And from there, the goods must be produced. Basically, new needs and wants equals new industrials and products.
Once the Industrial Revolution kicked off, Britain took advantage and took the lead. They had it all to make this possible, like a large population of workers, extensive natural resources, an expanding economy, and a stable political system. From industrialization, a middle class was born of skilled workers, professionals, business people, and wealthy workers. The new middle class transformed the structure of Great Britain.
Oh yeah, Elizabeth Gaskell, a British writer who wrote novels such as Mary Barton's and North and South, which shows sympathy for the working class.
So, you may ask, what is the purpose of all this producing, wanting, and inventing? Well, the Industrial Revolution was very important and led to social, economic, and political reforms.
Did you know there are very many differences in working conditions of the Industrial Revolution and working conditions now? Let's check them out.
It was
5 a.m. The workday began. Frankie and his sister rose as early as 4 or 4:30 in the morning in order to get to the factory for the start of their workday at 5 o'clock.
Time to go be sad in a factory.
Children usually grab their breakfast on the run. Noon. The children were given a 40-minute break for lunch. This was the only break they received during the whole course of the day. 3 p.m. The children often became drowsy during the afternoon or evening hours. In order to keep them awake, adult overseers sometimes whipped the children. 11 p.m. Frankie's sister worked another 2 hours, even though she had to be back at work at 5 o'clock the next morning. 9 p.m. The children's day ended after an exhausting 16-hour shift at work.
So, this is what your life would be like if you lived during the Industrial Revolution.
You are a 15-year-old living in England where the Industrial Revolution has spurred the growth of thousands of factories. Cheap labor is in great demand. Like millions of teenagers, you do not go to school. Instead, you work in a factory 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. The small pay you receive is needed to help support your family. You trudge to work before dawn every day and work until after sundown. The dangerous machines injure your fellow workers. Minding the machines is exhausting, dirty, and dangerous. Inside the factory, the air is foul and it is so dark it is hard to see.
As industrialization swept across the countries of Western Europe in the 19th century, workers began to organize. They did this so in order to defend the interests against those of the factory owners. Here, workers in Germany meet for a strike in order to plan their strategy.
Inventions in the textile industry started in Britain and brought about the Industrial Revolution. This revolution soon spread to other countries in Europe and the United States. A similar technological revolution is occurring in today's world of electronics. The telephone, television, and computer are transforming the spread of information around the world.
The term laissez-faire refers to the economic policy of letting owners of industry and business set working conditions without interference. That policy favors a free market unregulated by the government. The term comes from a French phrase that means let do, and by extension, let people do as they please.
Adam Smith, a professor at the University of Glasgow, Scotland, defended the idea of a free economy, or free markets. In his 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations, according to Smith, economic liberty guaranteed economic progress. Smith claimed that government need not interfere in the economy.
Economic effects of the Industrial Revolution. New inventions and development of factories. Rapidly growing industry in the 1800s. Increased production and higher demand for raw materials. Growth of worldwide trade. Highly developed banking and investment systems. Advances in transportation, agricultural, and communication. Social effects of the Industrial Revolution. Long hours worked by children in factories. Increased population of cities. Loss of family stability. Expansion of middle class. Creation of new jobs. Encouragement of technological progress.
Steam boilers discharge into their seething contents, and drains and sewers their fetid impurities, till at length it rolls on, here between tall dingy walls, there under precipices of red sandstone, considerably less a river than a flood of liquid manure. I'm here at Pavilions to show all of the byproducts of the Industrial Revolution that are on the market today. Most of the products sold here are from big businesses. Big businesses are essentially byproducts of the Industrial Revolution. Before the Industrial Revolution, most people lived on farms or very close to where they got their food from. After the Industrial Revolution, and factories were built, and also railroads and other shipment methods were developed, more big businesses could be created because they could mass produce their products and also transport them to different places to sell them. After there were easier sources for mass production and transportation, more products were able to be developed. Because of the Industrial Revolution, lots of people moved away from farms and then moved into cities where there were factories and jobs. Without the Industrial Revolution, most people would probably still be living on farms and very close to where they could get their food, and probably wouldn't have much that wasn't made in their local community. After factories were created and the Industrial Revolution started, businesses needed ways to transport their products to different places. It started with railroads, and now we have shipment by sea, shipment by planes, and shipment by trucks, all across the nation and the world. This was a major change in history because most people had never owned anything that wasn't made in their local community and had lived their entire lives living on farms, making their own food and their own clothing. So this was a lot of new technology and a new way of life, really, when they moved to the city.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology!
Products of the Industrial Revolution. Products of the Industrial Revolution. Byproducts of the Industrial Revolution.
Call 1303, Simon. 1303.
Byproducts of the Industrial Revolution. Byproducts of the Industrial Revolution. Good looking products of the industrialization right here. Hi, can I have some products of industrialization?
Okay.
This is an example of a factory during the Industrial Revolution. And this is an example of a modern day factory. This is an example of how goods were shipped during the Industrial Revolution and how goods are shipped now. Before the Industrial Revolution, people got everything that they had from their local community. So there wasn't very many choices. This was usually bread, meat, and things that they could grow. However, now that we can ship products all over the world and mass produce them, we have much more options of what we want to buy.